Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. An emergency live edition of Pod by the Bay after your South Florida Bulls knock off the number 24 team in the country, 90-86 over the FAU Owls, and still have sole possession of first place in the American Athletic Conference deep into February. Guys, my hands were just like dug into the side of my legs for the last 7 minutes of the game. But good God almighty, the Bulls pulled it off. This ain't the same old South Florida, my brother. Seth, Stieg, let's go.
And the student section avoided being the subject of ridicule and hatred for years to come for the overrated chant with 10 minutes left in the game. That would have been talked about forever. It would have lived in infamy. So
that would have been the worst.
That's also helped. That was also a nice a side benefit there of the win. So,
I mean, you couldn't have asked for maybe a worse start. Really bad first offensive possession for USF. It disjointed. You get the tomahawk slam where the ball goes through the hoop, hits Jose Placer in the head, and goes into the bench area. And you're like, oh shit, this could be in for a long day. And then it was USF domination.
That was the only lead of the
there
game.
On in.
It was the only lead of the game off that dunk.
And good God, they definitely tried their hardest to give it away at the end there. But I mean, shout out this entire team. Top down, we'll talk about what they did at the beginning of the game, but you built a 25-point lead against the number 24 team in the country who went to the Final Four last season and basically brought everybody back and then brought in a guy from Connecticut who had just won a national championship. Like, that's impressive. Like, that is damned impressive.
Yeah, I mean, the great thing about building a big lead is that, you can let go of the rope a little bit and still be all right. And, when it comes down to it, they won by 4. They were like a 4 or 5 point underdog. So, wow, great performance. But, yeah, watching it.
How we got there.
there was some butthole puckering late in that second half, I'm sure, in the stadium. But everyone could breathe a sigh of relief now. And the players, for the most part, I'd say didn't let it affect them too much. But, yeah, FAU just went on a tear in the second half. And that was kind of it was more looking at the stat in real time. You feel like, slow down, try this, try that. But when you look back at the stats, it wasn't a total USF falling apart. It's not like they just turned the ball over 15 times in the second half. It was just FAU played really well and got good shots and got to the free throw line. And that's like when you're playing a really good team with a bunch of experience, that can happen. But you're able to hold it off and finish the game.
Yeah, I mean, Elijah Martin and John L. Davis are elite players. Like, all credit to them and Golden as well. I mean, these were guys that you saw them weather every single storm that FAU had to face all of last year. One of those 3 just made it happen for them. And, I mean, they were making it happen at the end. But, to USF's credit, you built up a 24-point lead knowing what was going to happen, which was they were going to start locking in. They were, they've been in this situation before. They've played in hostile environments before at Madison Square Gardens, at wherever. They've played in tough environments, and you were able to basically let them play their game for about 8 minutes, which is totally fine. Let them crawl their way back into it, and frankly, do what you needed to do to maintain the lead throughout that entire process. But my God, every time that USF went 1-1 from the line, or 1 for 2 from the line, I knew what was happening. And then when I think it was Elijah Martin hit a 3 to get it 87, 86, I was like, God, if we didn't just miss 3 free throws in the last 4 minutes, I would feel so much better about the situation. I told Seth my magic number it kept on increasing because they started fouling so early, but my magic number ended up being like 92 at the end because I knew if they had another look at it, if they had another shot, they were going to make it. And if they were going to make it, then we would have to foul. It was going to go back and forth for as long as it was going to go. But phenomenal win. I mean, you did it.
Yeah. What was interesting to me is like through the first eight or 9 minutes of the first half, I think there was like 3 total combined fouls called on either side. Like, and then the refs seemed to either get super foul happy or they adjusted to what USF and FAU were doing and decided, okay, we can't let this go too far. There were a couple of, I think, by my count, I think there were 4 flagrant ones in the game, which you don't typically see that many in a singular game. I think Corey Walker had 2. Golden had 1, and I think there was another one. It just seemed disjointed at times, and I think from the tip, I mean, what the hell was that tip?
I want to see if I get this. That's what I put on. I put on Twitter. One shiny moment, but it was like the ball is tipped.
I mean, it was like the ref. I remember my middle school basketball coach. He would tell me, "Hey, grab a basketball, and you're sitting in your bed before you're lying in your bed. Just try to recreate the motion every single time, right? So it just the rotation is great. It comes right back down to your hands." It seemed like that's what he did for the tip, and it was the weirdest thing I'd ever seen in my entire life. And it was like, "Oh, we're in for one today."
Yes.
Like that, and then everybody's just standing around like, and the ref goes, "Yeah, you're good.
Come on,
I kicked it off. We're good. You can keep playing, bro."
Yeah. So everyone. It's always good when everyone just starts the game looking around at the ref and getting the nod, like a little children's gym game or something. So.
Yeah,
you talked about kind of the foul disparity. So first half, 13 combined free throws. Now second half, some of this is obviously like strategy and stuff, but 45 combined free throw attempts in the second half. So
yeah, I mean, even still, there was a definite change in how the game was called. Probably about 15 minutes left in the second half, especially. A lot more dribble drives were getting called for fouls. They were very quick to the whistle. I know, the kid from FAU got 4. The Nick Boyd, I think he got 4 pretty late into the game. Chris Youngblood also had 4. They were being very strategic with, all right, we got to make sure he's out when they're playing defense. And in the last 2 minutes or so, Coach Amir was like, "Chris, you got to be out there. If you foul out, you foul out, but we need you out there." So very different kind of gamesmanship, but I mean, sellout crowd. It was absolutely rocking. They answered a lot of the questions, and for your second quad 1 win of the year, you can't do much better than that, man. I'm proud of this team. I'm proud of what this program's been through over the last 25 years. Probably, to be fair, their inception. So to be able to pull this off against a team that clearly hates your guts, like the entire school of Florida Atlantic hates this University of South Florida school, and they were able to come away with a very good win against a very good opponent. Like, make no mistake, the Owls are a very good basketball team. Dusty May is a very good basketball coach. And the fact that they were able to keep him after last season is a testament to what they're kind of building there.
And I think the way they kind of played in the second half also helped contribute to that. It seemed like to me that because Golden down low is such a threat, and there'd be times where he's getting the ball and he's not super deep in the post. I'm like, "Oh yeah, turn around, take that, please," and he just bangs in a hook shot like nothing. I was like, "Oh, okay," like he's got some range on this thing. So there were times, where FAU would go pick and roll, and then the big USF wasn't switching it because you had a big on Golden, and he would kind of drop and stay a little bit closer to Golden, and that allowed the guard to get downhill. And now you're trying to get over the top of the screen and get back into play. And I think that's where some of the fouls came in. And it's just you're kind of got to pick your poison there. And FAU was able to kind of get USF on that a few times. And I'm not a basketball expert. Just that's what I thought I saw a few times. And it's just what are you going to do? You're gonna hedge real hard and then let that dude roll to the basket, and he's got great hands and can catch it real high.
Right.
Like, you're kind of in a tough spot, and that's what they can do to you because they're really good and they're really well coached. So
yeah, I think offensively for FAU, what the biggest difference outside of like making their foul shots in the second half, in the first half when they would go through their first offensive set and it wasn't there, they had a really hard time kind of transitioning into option 2, and that helped USF contested shots, getting rebounds, getting them out of position, letting USF kind of get down the court a little bit faster. In the second half, they adjusted. They had a counter punch to, okay, if you're going to take away the top option on this play, we have something else kind of going on. And they did a really effective job of utilizing Golden, and there was a definite size mismatch. I think USF stole a few minutes there in the first half with Case and Pryor on him, and they didn't really get away with that in the second half. And that, again, that's a testament to FAU being able to kind of see the mismatch and take advantage of it. And then they just kind of enforced their will down low. I want to take a look here at the split box. I'm just pulling up the stats on the points in the paint. FAU had 42 points in the paint.
USF only in the second half.
Yeah, they really imposed it in the second half, and that's it was 26-16 in the second half, and Golden was a vital part of that. 15 points, 6 of 7 from the field, 3 of 3 from the free throw line. I kind of said it in a chat. I can't remember if it was in the game threads or something. It's like, this guy is 7'1". He knows who he is, and he does everything well, especially shoot free throws. Like, there's not a hole in his game. So you're not going to see him shoot a 15-footer. Like, he knows that's not his game. So that was pretty incredible to see in person. And I will say this, probably for the first time, maybe some people are wondering, Nathan, why aren't you covering these games in person? I don't want to be there when they lose. I don't want to be the reason that they lose. So I have forcefully stayed away from these games. Like, Samantha asked me, hey, are you going to go to the game today? I was like, oh, God, no. I'm not doing that. I'm
We're
not
all thinking the same thing.
Just a little stitious. No. Not superstitious, just a little.
I'm a little stitious. So, like, when they lose to UTSA, you'll see me on the back half of the season. But, like, outside of that, I'm not going to be the reason why this USF team blows up this incredible run where it was this 11 straight in a row. I mean, good God Almighty. What a fun team.
They never let us live that down.
The fallout from this is going to be really.
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah, no. You never let yourself live it down. The fallout from this is going to be really interesting because you're already receiving votes last week in the poll. Not a ton, but you're receiving votes. What happens? You're on this win streak. Do you start to get a little closer? How many more do you have to put together? Because I think everyone's talking about the tournament resume right now, just looking ahead. And this was the second quad 1 victory. I think they're 2-0 in quad 1 games, right? And then, like, if you win a few more, like, how close are you to the top 25?
They might get it.
How often does a top 25? I mean, this is not necessarily the poll and coaches poll. That kind of thing aren't the be all end all. But how often does the top 25 team get left out of the tournament? Ever? Like, when's the last time?
Yeah, it's tough.
It's hard.
The 3 voters who voted for USF in last week's poll, God bless them, but it's super premature. Like,
yeah, it may be, but if you're already receiving votes, and then this game on national TV, really good opponent. At times you looked unbelievable.
Yeah, and even with almost blowing a 25-point lead, you still were able to do what you needed to do against a top 25 team to close out and win this game. That's all you can ask for. I would assume. I think they got 7 total points in last week's poll. I would assume that's gonna creep up a little bit, which unfortunately probably means FAU is going to be exiting the polls here this week. Yeah. So they were kind of hanging on. They had a rough. 3 conference losses already. They had 1 or 2 out of conference losses. So they're still really good, but
They haven't been great away from home,
No.
or not. They've been pretty good because they're a really good team. But in conference, I think they have some losses on the road, so that could hurt them. But like we talked about in our big Ponderosa preview, where we did a 30-minute preview of the game, and I think we did a pretty good job after watching the game of highlighting some things. But they also like beat Arizona earlier this year. They're locked in pretty much, unless they just totally collapse. But
Right.
I wouldn't imagine that's coming. But yeah, so you win a few more, I think you're in the conversation at least. If you're 21-5 with a win over FAU, and now the next two are UTSA and SMU. SMU's a pretty good team in terms of. I think Ken Palm likes them quite a bit. So
yep, Ken Palm has SMU to be they'll win the game 59% of the time. The 2-point loss for SMU, according to Ken Palm. And this is basically with that nothing's been updated within the team stats. Data includes 2 of 22 games played on Sunday. So I would expect a move up for USF. They're 102nd in Ken Palm as we speak.
Yeah, I imagine they'll get a little boost. So, and let's talk. You guys want to talk about kind of the beginning of the game, the different lineup, that kind of a little bit different look than what we've seen a lot, especially recently. I could look. You guys talk about that, and I'll get the actual numbers from Ken Palm about how often the lineup they used to start the game has been used the last few weeks.
And I'll kind of start with that because I got like 3 text messages at the beginning of the game if Kason Pryor was hurt. And I think we've probably said it probably 6 or 7 on this podcast, but he's really not great when the other team has a big that is imposing.
Right.
Against like a Wichita State or a even how actually not Charlotte. Like there are teams in this league that Kason Pryor matches up phenomenally with.
Right.
And then there's a team like Florida State with a 7'2" center that is just a nightmare for him because he plays smaller than he is, which is great 90% of the time until you have a guy like Golden kind of sitting in the paint. So I mean, Kason Pryor, 18 minutes, 4 points, 4 rebounds. He played more than I expected, based off of how they like to utilize him and how Florida Atlantic knew exactly what his game plan was, especially defensively. Like you put Golden on him, he can't really do much. He's very much mitigated. So it's no surprise to me that Corey Walker and got the start there. And in fact, he got more rebounds than Golden. Corey Walker did.
Yeah,
Corey Walker was 2 points away, double.
What he's been for this team when they needed a big body has been a revelation, right? Like we've kind of talked about this ad nauseum during the season, like during this kind of lead up to this game. Like he's not going to be the 20-point scorer, but he will get you effective minutes when needed, and he's a big body, and I think for the size difference between Golden and him, he did as well as you possibly could imagine. There's no one else on this roster that could keep Golden at bay for as long as he did. And, Golden was going to get his numbers. I mean, this is just an overmatched, undersized USF team. He was eventually going to get his, but to be able to do it and stop it as much as they had. And, shout out to Corey Walker, unsung hero of tonight's game.
So the starting lineup was, correct me if I'm wrong, Jose Placer, Chris Youngblood, Kobe Knox, Brandon Stroud, and Corey Walker.
Correct.
According to Ken Palm, that lineup has played together 0 the last 5 games. Has not played together at all in the last 5 games. So, that's where you talk about like a coaching, like, all right, maybe I got a freshman that's been starting most of my games at point guard. I got a big that's not going to hold up physically, probably. Let's switch it up. Put a senior in there that's steady, and then a bigger guy. And then you look at kind of some of the analytics side of this, and Corey Walker had the best defensive rating on the team, even though he arguably had the toughest matchup, right? So he was really good. So, I thought as soon as we saw the lineup card come out kind of on Twitter, you're like, oh, okay, this is a little different here. And it made sense.
right.
to do, but it was just interesting to see that. Yes, Tom's asking. Yes, we did talk about the overrated chant early to start the show. We've decided that is the biggest win coming out of it is that the game won't live in infamy for that overrated chant with 9 to 10 minutes left. So student section will learn. It's college. You learn a lot in college. So chanting, that's like a last 2 minutes thing when you're up 20.
Yeah. But even that, it doesn't make any sense. You're diminishing your win.
There's that too, but it's nice to get a dig in every once in a while.
Man, your beach sucks. Your stadium, there's you. Oh man, I don't know. This was.
I do think that I would not say they're overrated. I'd say they're pretty good. Regardless what the
honestly
was.
properly rated. Properly
rated. Yeah.
That
doesn't sound as good though.
Yeah, properly rated. There's 3 stats that I'm looking at on the books that are just staggering to me that I have to stay. USF out rebounded FAU 34-29, and that includes a 10-8 offensive rebound advantage. Huge.
Hell yeah.
Love that. 7 steals by USF against a very sound team. USF forced 11 turnovers by FAU, only committed 8. I mean, that's incredible for a team that's that experienced to force them into defensive mistakes like that, and to get the points that you needed in those positions was huge. And this one is my absolute favorite: 38-10 bench points. Selton Miguel has been just. It's unreal that like a guy who on probably more than half of the other teams in the American Athletic Conference would start is basically the first man off the bench for us. And he's perfect in that role. He loves it. Coach loves it. Everyone's like, this is the spark that you need. If Jose Placer, if Chris Youngblood, if any one of them need a rest, my God, you have a guy that can go for 25 points and get a game high 25 points off of the bench is just unreal to have. That is the reason why USF is as successful on this 11-game win streak as they are. It's because they don't have to have Chris Youngblood play for 40 minutes like they have to have John L. Davis play for 40 minutes. They don't have to have him do that. Take a break.
I kind of wish they would sometimes, but
right.
That's a different. I think the crazy thing about Miguel to me is like his shooting splits his first 3 years, and we talked about it on the Ponderosas. His shooting splits were terrible his first 3 years, and this year he's been unbelievable. And it's just I think he shot 5 of 8 from 3 in this game. It's 9 of 16 from the floor, 2 of 2 from the free throw line. The shooting turnaround he's made, and maybe that's part of that is your role and playing your role and really excelling at it. That's been like the biggest thing for him. I think it's just he's totally turned that around. Maybe he's just taking better shots and his role fits him better now. I don't know.
The Knox family was in attendance.
Interesting. I wonder why.
Did you see the report that G League Ignite might get disbanded?
Yeah, they're terrible. they're worse than USF was last year.
Who runs the G League?
Related to Coach Amir. So.
Oh, that's right. That's interesting.
It's interesting. And Kobe had a pretty good game today. Stay within his means.
I think he's improved greatly as the season's gone on.
I believe he has as well. Mm-hmm. I think he hit at least. I know he hit at least 1 3.
1 for 4 from 3. 3 of 7 from the floor. 1 for 2. But he's
had a fantastic block.
Yeah. He doesn't show up a ton in the stats, but he's plus 13 on the game in terms of plus minus. Like I think he's probably one of their better defenders and more versatile guys too. But I just feel like you feel like he's pretty steady out there. Like he's a steady presence you can rely on, reliable out there. So it's nice to have that kind of player. Wouldn't be bad to have another one either.
No. Maybe
Nice.
Maybe how like the younger brother's always a little bit more talented than the next
interesting.
oldest. That I wonder if that's kind of a possibility.
Could be interesting. That'd be interesting.
My favorite thing looking at stat broadcasts is Gerald Jones III is listed on it, and I don't know when he got in the game.
Bro, I was looking at it. I was like, "Are we sure?"
I think he might have gotten in on the last play.
Poor guy's a -4 on the plus minus.
Oh God, really? Yeah, then he definitely came in at the end.
I don't know.
Zero minutes.
Yeah,
-4.
Which means he was there for seconds.
I don't think he played.
I don't remember him playing. If there's any video evidence of him playing tonight, please let us know because I don't remember it.
I don't believe Coach Amir was
that
deep into his bag of tricks.
When I saw that, that Sam Hines checked in, I was like, "Oh, okay, sure, you can absolutely do that." All right, let's see. I'm looking.
Yeah, I would be shocked if he actually played.
Substitution.
Oh God, no! Stop doing this. I hate stat broadcast. This is what we're doing right now.
I think this is a good point by Greg. And then I saw some people in the Discord talking about it, and I'd been boycotting watching this team the last 3 years because I didn't want to watch rock fights. So I'm not as aware of the problems breaking press under the prior regime, but I've heard it was difficult for previous USF teams to break the press.
Yeah,
it seems like this one handles it pretty well.
So basically, post LaQuincy Redu, he was bad. The teams were bad. Xavier Castaneda was especially bad early on in his career, and then he got better, and then he went to Akron and averaged like 24 points a game. That also seems to be like a running theme with USF transfers out of men's basketball. So I looked. It looks like he got in. He checked in with 7 minutes and 33 seconds left in the second half. Golden made a free throw, so he's -1, and then FAU hit a 3 to go -4, and then he was out of the game after that. That's allegedly what happened. I don't remember that at all. I must have blacked that part out.
I don't recall.
It wasn't real to me. I think he checked in for Sam Hines. It looks like. So
and then it looks like it was. Oh, I think it was the corner 3 from Jalen Gaffney on the far side of the court, and then he was gone.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, got minutes though. That's nice. Well, seconds.
he got minute.
Yeah. Well, not even. I think it is measured more in seconds.
God bless him. But hey, it's 3:18. Go enjoy the rest of your Sunday, folks. This has been a phenomenal weekend. We'll forget Saturday ever happened between the women's basketball game and the Lightning game, but
we're saving
Sunday.
Up for this.
First Sunday without football and a national TV broadcast, plus a dub. Way to show out. I wonder what the ratings are going to look like. Millions. Frank, millions are going to be millions watch this game.
Great. Everyone that went, great atmosphere. Looked awesome on TV.
Job.
Sounded great.
Proud of y'all.
Everybody that we had some people in the Discord talking through, kind of jumping in during the TV timeouts and things like that. Seemed like a really awesome atmosphere. And I'm sure, like, if you've got recruits at that game, that'd probably be pretty cool. Hey, man, this is year one. It's going to be like this going forward. That's a good sales pitch. So,
I mean, I probably won't be here year 2, but it's fine. You guys should come anyway.
No, take one more. It's one more.
But with that being said, go enjoy your President's Day weekend. If you guys have Monday off, enjoy yourself. Be safe. Be smart.
Go play a little golf.
Go play a little golf if it dries out. And remember, This ain't the same old South Florida, my brother. Go Bulls.
Go Bulls.
Go Bulls.